from Seth. Did that just not like...
I did this. I went, what? 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 I just couldn't believe it. It was an incredible gift. I still don't know how it happens. People ask me, like, how did you get Seth Godin to do that? I'm like, no, you don't get Seth Godin to do anything. Like,
no,
Seth
you don't.
has to do. And it was interesting, actually. He put a cherry on the cake of the whole thing. I was interviewing him with my friend Linda Sievertson. She has a podcast called the Beautiful Writers Podcast. And so she and I were interviewing, I was her co-host interviewing Seth. And Linda asked, she's like, Seth, you were nice enough to give Sam such a nice endorsement for her book. I'm sure a lot of our listeners would love to know how that happened. Do you have any advice for them? And Seth said, I get chills just thinking, Seth says, well, I didn't give Samantha an endorsement for her book. She earned it by writing an awesome book. So if you would like an endorsement like that, first thing you should do is read Sam's book and ask yourself, is my book better? Because if it is not as good or better than Sam's, then you have some work to do.
Oh my God, that is so amazing.
Okay. Don't pass out. Don't cry. Don't pass out. Don't cry. Yeah, we're mutual fans for sure. So.
Oh my God, that is so awesome. That is so awesome. Oh, I love it. And that's the whole. I think every one of us as an entrepreneur or someone who aspires to be, a transformational leader or an author or a writer or just has some kind of work to get out there, they just want some kind of endorsement like that.
Well, and the thing is, I would circle back even further back than that because, we do have those dreams of, somebody noticing us. But the fact of the matter is, get your work out into the world. Nothing can happen until it hits the air. And all those voices in your head that say, who do I think I am? I don't think I'm good enough. I'm not really an expert. I'm not really that good of a writer. I don't really know. But, well, of course you don't. That's everybody. Everybody feels that way. I don't want to do social media. I hate the way I look on camera. I hate the way my voice sounds. That's everybody. We all hate the way we look on camera. We all hate the way our voice sounds. Like, nobody feels comfortable about that. But when you put your work out into the world, things happen. And maybe Seth Godin will endorse your thing. You just don't know where it's going.
Yeah, I mean, Sam is absolutely right. You have to start. And if you don't start, you never know where it's going to go or where it's going to end up.
And you got to get it beyond your circle of family and friends. Because this is the other problem is people are like, well, my family and friends, I don't know anybody who'd pay for that. I don't really know anybody who's into that. Yes, that's because they're your family and friends. They're not your clients. Family and friends don't make good clients. Stop.
Oh my! You're the second person to say that. Say that again.
Yeah, do not look to your family and friends to be your clients or students or fans. Like, I had one client who was like, I know my sister doesn't read my blog. I'm like, who cares? She's not in your life to be your fan. She's in your life to be your sister. So just let her love you. And, all those people who love you and try to keep you safe, usually by saying really discouraging things, just don't talk to them about your work. They don't know what you do or why. They think you're crazy. But their family and friends make good clients. So go, so you got to get it beyond your own immediate circle and out into the world. There's a zillion people who are starved for what you're doing. Get it out there.
Awesome. So, I mean, you are such a creative person, a creative genius, I would dare say. Is everyone a creative genius? How does that work?
Everyone is a creative genius. Okay. Everyone is a creative genius. Yes. Yes, everyone is a creative genius. Not everyone is artistic. Right? In the same way that not everyone is musical, right? But if you have ever solved a problem differently than anybody else has ever solved that problem, congratulations, you are a creative genius. And that's what entrepreneurship is all about, right? That's what makes it so engaging is you're just constantly solving problems, and every problem you have is a better, is a pathway to a new solution. Every problem is an opportunity. Every problem is a growth moment. Like, oh, what's really happening here? What did I miss? Where am I going with this? How can I fix this? Oh, look at this. Here's a better way. Oh, this is better. This is better. Like you're constantly iterating. But yeah, I believe, they say our bodies are like, 80% water or something. I think our souls are 65% creativity.
Oh, I love that.
That's what I
love it. That's amazing. So if we're talking about, we mentioned overwhelm earlier. How do you describe overwhelm, and what is your advice for helping someone get past it or ending it?
Yeah, overwhelm is a word I hear a lot, and a lot more in the last couple of years more recently than I used to hear it 10 years ago. And the good news is, so first of all, what I think overwhelm is, or what seems to me to cause it most, is when it feels like everything's kind of coming at you with the same level of intensity. So you sort of can't distinguish what's important and what's not. So it's just really like, oh my God, I gotta do this, and I gotta do this, and this, and this, and then, oh, paralyzed, right? The good news is, overwhelm is something that you do to you. It is not something that the world does to you. It is something you do to you. You are choosing to be overwhelmed. So you can easily choose to not be overwhelmed. And there's a couple of very simple ways. First of all, no dings. Nothing dings. Turn off all alerts, all nothing. No dinging. Right? Just get it out, because it'll it ruins your concentration. It pulls you out of the moment. All of a sudden you're on somebody else's agenda. Somebody texts me and all of a sudden, and that's my problem. Like, I'm working here. I will get back to you in time. So that's one thing. Nothing dings. The other thing I think, and this may freak some people out, get your cell phone out of the bedroom. Get your cell phone out of the bedroom. And I know people are like, oh, but I've got kids. I got it. Fine. Leave it on the nightstand across, on your dresser, or get it off your nightstand. And give yourself back the gift of waking up in the morning. Those first couple of minutes, like before you're even really awake, like just to luxuriate and stretch and breathe, say a little prayer, snuggle if there's a person or animal to snuggle with, like whatever, cool side of the pillow, give yourself back that time. That liminal time in between waking and sleeping is so important for the creative person, for the sensitive person, for the overworked person. Like, allow yourself to come into the day like a civilized person. There is nothing happening on your phone that cannot wait for 10 minutes while you breathe and remember who you are.
Oh, I love that. And that is such a huge choice. That's your choice on how you want to wake up each day.
And I'm telling you, you wake up with this in your hand and you're stressed out immediately, right? Immediately. And discouraged. This is a lot of bad news.
No, it's awesome. It's simple things that can add so much pleasure and add so much value back to your life.
Exactly. Yeah, I lay in bed. I do my little prayer meditation practice, which to call it meditation is kind of even an overstatement, but it's just a little sort of mental trip. I snuggle with my sweetheart, take a shower, have a cup of tea. Now I can approach the world on my own terms. And this feeling like, oh, I don't have time for that. No, you don't have time to not do it. If I start my day all like, oh no, I gotta get it, then I'm stressed out, and you do crappy work when you're stressed out like that. I get my best ideas first thing in the morning.
That's awesome. Yeah, I love that. I do my little meditation right when I'm laying in bed every morning. I, turn on my little app and do my 10 minutes or 20 minutes. And sometimes I feel so good. I'm like, oh, I don't want to get out of this cocoon yet. And
yeah, it's a beautiful thing to treasure that lovely, snuggly moment. Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about procrastination a little bit. I think I shared with you right before we started that I've been doing a lot of procrastinating lately, and I kind of know what it is, but let me let you describe it, and then tell me why I'm doing it. And how I can stop doing it.
Yeah. So first of all, procrastination is a big word that actually means a lot of different things. It can mean a lot of different things. Sometimes procrastination means your project is too big. Your project is too big. When you think about oh, I want to write a book. It's like thinking, oh, I want to redecorate the whole house. It's like, you can see it in your mind. This is what I love about working with creative people. They get the vision immediately. And there's, sequels and t-shirts and theme parks and they get these huge ideas. And then they immediately get paralyzed because how do you even begin to move forward on something that big? So, just like redecorating the house, start with one. This is why I say 15 minutes a day. Spend 15 minutes a day on the projects that matter most to you before you check your email. Spend 15 minutes on the projects that matter most to you and that will improve your life, your family's life, your community's life, your business's life. You'll be amazed at how much you can get done in 15 minutes. It's shocking. And it kind of hopscotches right over your perfectionism, which is another thing that procrastination is sometimes hiding, is perfectionism. Because, how perfect can it be in 15 minutes? And you're going to do it again tomorrow anyway. So, you know, and it's amazing, when you do 15 minutes a day, every single day for a week, a month, 6 months, a year, 10 years, it's incredible what can get accomplished.
Yeah. And that time is focused. So it's like dedicated, focused time. But okay, so you're talking about that really hit home for me. Like, and I can think of a couple of things of why I've been procrastinating on those projects. And you're right, they're too big. I need to break them down into smaller parts. Some of them I'm not excited about.
This is another way procrastination shows up, is sometimes it's stuff you just don't care about. You just don't give a crap. And so it's important then to, I actually have a worksheet that we do in my Get It Done course that asks you to take a look at that, of like, what is your inclination? Just on a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you feel like doing this thing? And some things are going to get a 0 or a very low score, and some of those things you can just cross off your list. Just go like, you know what? I don't care about that thing, and selective neglect is an important key to success. Right? The ability to go, I've been like, yeah, I see you over there, Pinterest. I'm not dealing with you. I don't care about you. I don't have time for you. Maybe later, like cross it off the list. Quit torturing yourself about it. You don't care. Nobody else cares. Cross it off the list. There are other things that do have to get done, and maybe they even have to get done by you. Mm-hmm. They don't. Again, farm it out, pay someone else to do it. There's somebody who's way better at it who will love to get their teeth into it. Like, hire someone else to do it if you can. If you can't, if it is something that it has to be you, and you have no natural desire to do it, then acknowledge that. Like, quit waiting for some magical morning where you're going to get up all like, I can't wait to clean out my guest room closet. Like, it's not going to happen. So what do we do when we don't have a desire? We motivate ourselves externally, right? So you either promise yourself a really good treat, like, okay, if you do this, you can have a new pair of sparkly shoes. Or, if you do this, you can, make a lunch date with a friend or go take a walk, whatever it is that lights you up. Or you can go the other way and use a big stick. My favorite and most drastic one of those is to write a check for $500 out to a political or social organization with whom you violently disagree.
Oh.
Give it to a friend that you trust and say, if I don't show you a completed first draft, or if I don't show you my clean guest room closet by this date, mail that check.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. It's a good one. It's a good one, because it's not even the $500. It's like, I don't even want my name on that mailing list. Oh my God.
That's so funny. Wow. Okay. So yeah, look at some area of your life where you feel like you have to get something done, and then set a challenge for yourself, something that you absolutely would not let go.
Right.
That's incredible.
Yeah. Or get a friend. I mean, that's the power of peer pressure is an enormously powerful force. I can promise myself that I'll go to the gym, and I might or I might not. But if I've told you that I'll meet you there at 4, I will 100% be there at 4. Mm-hmm. So that helps too. If you can get a buddy,
Yeah, I found
for entrepreneurs, because entrepreneurship is a lonely business. So it's good to partner up when you can.
It is. It's nice. I've gotten 2 friends like that in the past couple of years, and it's helped me tremendously. I can't say enough about those 2 amazing people. Because I would have quit a lot of projects that I have completed, for one thing, and I think they would have too. And just the camaraderie has been amazing.
When I was getting started writing Get It Done, I used to meet my girlfriend, Amy Ehlers, who's also now a published author, and a terrific coach, amazing person. We would meet at a coffee shop, and we were very disciplined. We would like, hi, and then we would write, and it was great. It really, that beginning stages are really hard, and to have a little moral support from a friend is good stuff.
Yep, accountability is a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
Awesome. So you also talk about perfectionism. And how can people get past that? I mean, I realized the other day I was doing a meditation and I remembered something I read as a kid, and I looked up my name in one of those baby books, and next to my name said perfection, and I went, "Oh God, did I carry that with me because that was the name I was given, or because I looked that up when I was a kid?" And it's like it keeps me from doing so many things or getting so many things done quicker, and I realize that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's insidious. It's really insidious because there's also the thing about perfectionism that's really killer is there's a little whiff of virtue around it.
Mm.
Oh, well, it's just my damned high standards, I'm such a perfectionist. Hair toss, and it's like, okay. So here's the thing about perfectionism. First of all, I like to redefine the concept of perfect and think of perfect like a leaf or like an egg or like a baby, like babies are perfect. No matter what they look like, they're perfect, right? They are whole and complete unto themselves, right? So if we think about that version of perfect, that mellows me out a little bit, right? That makes me feel like, okay, it's not perfect like without flaws, it's just perfect because it is whole and complete and itself, right? But I live with depression and anxiety like a lot of people. And there was a time some years ago where my anxiety was getting really bad. Like I felt like I was being judged all the time. Like every parallel parking, every meal, every folded sock, like it had to be just right. And if it wasn't, somehow somebody was making a note about it. Wow. Super fun for me and everyone around me. That made me so much fun at parties. So I remember I was talking to my sister and I said, look, I can't get over this idea that I'm constantly being graded. And so I've decided if I can't get over that idea, maybe I'll just try to get a C. I'm going to quit trying to get an A plus and everything. I'm just going to get a C. C is the grade that you get for showing up and doing the work. Show up, do the work. Show up, do the work. Show up, do the work. Not doing the work better than everybody else, not doing extra credit, not sitting in the front row like, I know. Just show up and do the work. And my sister said, great, good luck. Whatever. He's very supportive. And then we went on to, then what we were actually talking about was my father had moved into a new apartment and we wanted to send him a little housewarming present. So I said I would take care of it because I'm the older sister. And a couple days later, we're on the phone again because we talk constantly. And she said, oh, did you send something to Dad? And I said, you know what? I haven't. I said, because I can't, I want to get something nice, but we didn't have very much money at the time. So I'm like, I don't want to, we can't get it too nice. I was thinking maybe something for the kitchen, but he has a lot of kitchen stuff, maybe towels, maybe monogrammed, I don't know. And my sister says, Sam, get a C, send a plant. Get a C, send a plant. 1-800-Flowers.com, $37 later, I have sent the man a Dieffenbachia. The next day he calls, oh, what wonderful daughters he has. Here's the thing. My desire to find the perfect thing for my father was preventing me from finding anything for my father. My willingness to take the cheap, obvious option, the totally non-creative, not interesting option, allowed me to do what we really wanted to do, was just let him know that we loved him and we hoped he was happy in his new digs, And I know that all you little apple polishers out there are still bursting the great nut hives. Like, I can't, I'm not gonna see, I can't. Here's why you can. One, your version of a C, pretty much everybody else's version of an A. You may have noticed this about yourself already. That you put out something and you're like, this is so embarrassing. And everybody else is like, oh, you did that? That's amazing, right? So that's one, your version of a C, pretty much everybody else's version of an A. Also, if you put it out there and it needs to be made more perfect, then you'll make it more perfect. Like version 2.0, a director's cut, you'll fix it. It's fine. But don't wait to have the perfect website or the perfect logo or the perfect sales pitch or the perfect, just, again, get it out of the house. The world needs your work too much for you to be sitting there on your hands like, oh, but what if it's not exactly so perfecty schmurfecty all the time?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I love that. I love it that you're really pushing people. I mean, that's the biggest thing that people I think can take away from this conversation is Just start. I love it. Start right where you are.
Start right where you are. There is no magical day that is better than right now. And not even later this afternoon. I mean, now. Do it now. Set the time on your clock for 15 minutes. Put a little chime at the end and just start. And I don't know where to start. Well, make something up. What has somebody else done? Like, follow the sparkly breadcrumbs. You have some idea, so start there.
Yeah. When I started my business 10 years ago, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I just knew I wanted to be my own boss, and I was good at a lot of things, but I didn't know. I was like, I don't know exactly what I'll do. So I started creating websites for some people. I did some photography for a client. I started doing social media. And then I started doing the JV and affiliate management. And within 3 to 5 months, that clearly, stood out for me as, okay, this is what I'm really, really good at.
See, and that's a perfect example of following the sparkly breadcrumbs, right? You're like, well, I don't really know, but there's a little bit of energy there. There's a little bit of energy there. That seems like a good idea. That person keeps coming to my mind. What not, so you take a couple little baby steps, and somebody asked me one time about like, how do you tell the difference between your natural reluctance to do something that's new or scary or different versus that really deep, like, oh, this is not the right thing for me feeling. And I said, I'm not sure you can actually tell the difference between those things before you do it. Mm-hmm. Those feelings are very close together. And one often looks like the other. So what I recommend, again, is just take a little baby step, a little 15-minute step, a little cheap, obvious step, and really pay attention to see how it feels. Because you've absolutely, all of you have had the experience of taking a tiny little baby step and the universe comes rushing at you and you're like, oh, that's so much better. That's fantastic. Great. Good. Done. Perfect. Seth Godin endorsed my book. Oh my God. It happens. Sometimes you take a couple of baby steps and it's like, it's weird. There's a lot of knees and elbows. It's not coming together right. You're like, okay, not the right time. This isn't for me or not right now. Good. Now you know. But you gotta just little baby movements. No big deal.
That's one thing I was just about to ask you about, because I get requests from people to work with them all the time, and of course I have limited ability to work with. I can only work with so many people, but a lot of times I'm on the phone and I'm like, oh yes, I'm excited. I'd love to work with you, and then I get off the phone and I'm like, that timing's not really that great. Should I have said, but I got so excited about it in the beginning, and then I start telling myself all the reasons why I shouldn't. And then it's like, okay, am I just scared that I'm going to have too much work, or that I can't do a good job, or what's going on here? Or should I not work with them because I'm feeling something negative?
Yeah. So, this is also attached to the problem that a lot of people have around saying no at all, right? I don't want to say no. So I'm so glad you asked. This is another very simple solution. Whenever anybody asks me to do anything, whether I think I want to do it or not, I say, that sounds so interesting. Thank you so much for thinking of me. Let me get back to you in an hour. Let me get back to you tomorrow. Let me get back to you after the weekend. Let me get back to, whatever the appropriate time frame is, to give myself a little second to look at my calendar and look at my checkbook and talk to my sweetheart and and feel that inner wisdom and get the, because I have a big red "I'll help" button in the middle of my chest. If you ask me to do something, I'm like, oh, I'll do it. I'll help you move. I'll do it. And and the busier you get, the more you've got limited time. And of course, we want to help everybody, but not everybody's a good fit. You can't help everybody. And what I've noticed is that when I go, say, oh, great, I'll call you back, tomorrow morning. When I get back to them and say, thank you so much, I'm not available at this time, like, nobody ever says why, asks me why. Nobody ever, if you do it in the moment, hey, can you do this? No, I'm sorry, I can't. Oh, come on, please, it'll be fun, and so-and-so will be there, and we really need you. And we're like, and then I'll cave, right? If you take a minute to think about it, they know you've considered it. Mm-hmm. And you can say, no, I'm sorry, I'm not available. Please ask me again next time, but, not available right now.
No, that's wonderful. That's a great tool to use. Because even if you feel like it's a yes right then, it gives you that extra little bit of time to really think about it, to meditate on it, and make sure it's the right fit.
And then everybody knows that your yes is a real yes and your no is a real no. Mm. I love a good no.
Mhm. So, how do you have a tip or a method or a tool for saying no?
I think those phrases of like, I'm not available for that. That doesn't really work for me right now. That's not a priority for me right now. I try to not say I can't afford it and I don't have time,
Right.
because the fact of the matter is, you can so afford it. Everybody's like, "Oh, I'm so broke, I'm so broke, I'm so broke," and then a new iPhone comes out and everybody's got $1,000. How did that happen?
Yeah.
Your favorite band comes into town and all of a sudden you've got $300 for a concert ticket. Like, and I don't mean to diss iPhones or concert tickets. Spend your money on what you love, absolutely. Um, but I find that people find the money for the things that are important to them, and they find the time for things that are important to them. People tell me all the time, "Oh, I wish I could write a book. I don't have the time." I'm like, we all get the same 24 hours. I don't get more time than you do. We all get the same. You have the time. You're just spending it on other things. So I try to be clear in my language around that too. Say like that's not a priority in my budget right now. That's not a priority in my calendar right now. It's not where my focus is. I will also say that writing a book gives you an out for almost everything. If you can say like, "Oh my gosh, I would love to, but I'm really focused. I'm working on this book and it's really taken all my attention," and everybody kind of goes, "Oh, yeah, I understand. She's working on a book."
I have accepted that excuse from a lot of people.
Yeah. And even if it just means like, "Oh, I occasionally write down an idea on an index card." That's working on a book, people. That is working on a book. That's how I wrote my first book, was just on index cards.
Wow. How did you get the inspiration for your books? What made you want to write them?
Yeah, the first book, both of them came out of classes that I taught. Get It Done was something I started teaching when I was working full time as an actor in Los Angeles, um, which meant I had this life that was just a massive jumble of jobs and gigs and projects and shows and auditions and part-time gigs and full-time gigs and juggle, 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 juggle. Creatively very satisfying, financially disastrous. Um, but along the way, I got really interested in this question of like, how do creative people make decisions? How do you know what to do? How, when there's no the way, just like entrepreneurship, there's no the way. There's conventional wisdom, but that works for conventional people doing conventional things, right? Getting your oil changed every 5,000 miles or 3,000 miles. Yes, do that. That conventional wisdom applies in that scenario. Entrepreneurship, conventional wisdom doesn't apply. It doesn't apply. You should know what it is, but it may or may not apply to you. So how do you know how to market yourself? How do you know what's important? How do you know what to charge? How do you, like, all that stuff? And since there isn't a the way, this is just something my brain just does naturally. And this is where, by the way, if you're wondering where your creative genius is, it's the thing you do without really noticing that you do it. I automatically go like, well, how would I figure that out? How would I just, like, should I have a podcast? Should I do videos? Should I stand on the street corner with a sandwich board? Like, what should I do? And so I just started creating all these worksheets and questions and inquiries and little imagination games and stuff that help you tune into your natural creative rhythm and your inner creative wisdom and your real knowing about what's right for you, because it's the way you're going to do it is going to be different than the way I'm going to do it. And so I started teaching this as a class just to some of my friends, because I noticed I was good at getting projects done and a lot of my friends were struggling. And so I was teaching it, in the church basement in Van Nuys for 11 people, and I might have been charging them $75. Like, I was so shy about it. And then it was really inadvertent. And so the book came out of that, but the business came out of that. I was, a friend of mine said like, "Wow, you have this class that you really love, and everybody really loves it, and you could charge more than $75, and why aren't you doing that full time?" I was like, that's such an interesting question. I never thought of that. And then I remember when I decided to do it, I was like, oh, I wonder if I could do the organized artist company full time. And I was like, I guess I should order business cards. Like, I knew nothing about marketing, nothing about entrepreneurship, but I learned awful quick. And it's not that hard. It turns out it's not that hard.
Yeah, I think a lot of people go into it thinking that they have to do it a set way or that there's a formula. And I think I know for every single person I've ever spoken to, you just figure it out along the way. You
That's
try
right.
something, and if it doesn't work, you try something else.
And you do things like attend summits like this. I watched every webinar. I bought every book. I went to conferences. I spent a fortune on coaches that I would happily double what I've paid. I mean, I don't know how anybody does it without a coach or a mentor or a teacher. I just don't, I can't imagine. And I still pay out top dollar to my team and also to my coaches. Notice coaches, like I'm more than one.
I agree with you. I've had so many mentors over the years. It's and I definitely wouldn't be where I am without them. So
it's priceless. It's really priceless. It feels like a lot of money, but believe me, it's not. And this is another, and really I mean, not everybody who charges top dollar has perfect integrity. So do your research and talk to people and make sure it really feels right for you. But don't not do it because you think it's too expensive. Because the ones who are really good charge like they're really good. And sometimes I think that moment that I first invested in my very first like super high-end coaching, I had never taken myself that seriously before. It sent a signal to my inner self, because I didn't have the money and I didn't even really have a way to make the money. But I was like, but I knew this is where my business was going. I knew I needed the help. I knew I needed to be in community with other people who were up to big stuff too. And I knew I needed the teaching and the guidance. But this laying down this, I mean, my little Chicago Midwestern girl self was like, I'm sorry, we're paying what for what now? like that's more than your car. Like what? But I was like, nope, I'm worth it. My work is worth it. And the people I serve are worth it. And it was like my inner self was like, oh, I think she's serious. Look at the size of that check. Like, okay, let's like everybody, all hands on deck. Let's go. You know, it was a real.
But you set that intention and you put that energy out to the universe, and it responded for you.
I doubled my sales almost immediately.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So what are some other productivity tips that we can offer for the people who are watching right
now? Okay, I don't know why this one is coming to mind. This one is in Start Right Where You Are. And it'll seem sort of counterintuitive, but it's something I like to call happy grown-up naked time. Happy grown-up naked time is essential to your well-being as a human being. And I don't care if you happy grown-up naked time with someone else or all by yourself. It does not have to be sexual. This is not necessarily a sexual thing. It can be sexual, but it doesn't have to be. Because a lot of people can't have sex or don't want to have sex or are too mad and exhausted to have sex. And that's fine. But your animal skin needs attention, for you to just be nude with yourself, and grown-up time. This is not with lock the door, and whether it's, an extra long bath or laying in bed or getting a massage or whatever it is you like, your foot rub, putting lotion on, whatever it is you like to do. But just this reminder, I mean, even this right now, just put your hands on your face, just feel your own face for a second. Rub your hands down your head, oh, right, hi, body. When we're kids, we're so aware, we're so in our bodies. And as entrepreneurs, and particularly as internet marketers, we're so in the computer all the time. But just to remember that, your skin needs to breathe and be touched. And, really, I open it, it's wide open. I have no agenda for anybody on this. I just think it's important.
Awesome. Well, I don't think I told you this before, but we're picking one thing from every expert that we talk to, and we're giving people a little challenge that they can do. And we have a private Facebook group where they can post. So I think that would be a great challenge for people to try this for 5 days, do you think?
And once a week, 10 minutes. It doesn't have to be a big deal. It's really just, that this question of what do I want? What do I do? Productivity is about leverage. It's about doing stuff that is meaningful to you. And so we're looking for what are your highest income producing activities, but also what are your highest joy producing activities. And if you are not in tune with your body and your body's hungers and your body's rhythms, it's very difficult to know what is joy producing. And I'll I'll say one more thing about this. I mentioned earlier I live with depression and anxiety, and one of the ways my depression shows up sometimes is in something called anhedonia. Anhedonia is the inability to take pleasure in things. Right? So it's the same root word as hedonism, right? Hedonism is taking too much pleasure in things. Anhedonia is the absence of pleasure. And so for me, that looks like, oh, this is so fun talking to Tammy. I'm not having the sensation of fun. I understand that it is fun, right? So it's important for me to keep an eye on that when I start noticing, like, oh, here I am, in this beautiful place or having this beautiful meal or in this beautiful life, but I'm not feeling it. Like, that's a little red flag to me that I need to, take some steps to try and lift myself up a little bit.
Oh,
I can't always, I can't always do it, but sometimes I can, especially if I catch
well, thank you for sharing that, because I've dealt with that as well over the years, and that's I didn't think of that being an indicator, but now that I'm thinking back at it, you're absolutely right.
It's partly where that sort of inside a glass box feeling comes from, of like, wow, I'm here and I look normal, and yet I'm not feeling it. Like, I'm not feeling my life. So yeah, and I feel like the happy grown up naked time is a great counterpoint to that.
All right, so we're gonna challenge you guys to do happy grown up naked time at least once this week, and you don't have to tell us what you did. We don't need all the details, but go over to the Facebook group and just post in there, I did my happy grown up naked times.
And especially for people who've been in long-term relationships. I mean, like, let's face it, this, for many of us, the spark is barely a spark, and just to have time together with someone you love nude is beautiful. Really remember why.
I love to, every once in a while I'll be like, I don't remember the last time I really hugged my husband. I mean, we talk to each other every day. He kisses me goodbye when he leaves every morning. But like to like, sometimes I'm standing in the kitchen, he's cooking dinner because I don't cook and he's great at it. And I'll turn him around and I'll be like, just hug me. And it's like, give me a big hug for 2 to 3 seconds so that we can connect again.
Yeah. Do it nude, I'm telling you.
He'll be excited about that.
Yeah, you will.
But I think you're addressing one thing that is really, I mean, you talk about entrepreneurship being lonely, and sometimes it really is. I mean, I have this beautiful office and my beautiful house, but I'm alone, 80% of the time.
And no one understands what we do or why. I mean, I'm in personal development, which is like barely a thing. People, I mean, here in Southern California, people sort of know about it a little bit, but really it's not really a thing. And what am I, and then internet marketing, which is also not really a thing. I mean, what am I going to do? Turn to the kitty cats and be like, hey, kitties, guess what my conversion rate is on that page? No one knows. It's lonely.
So it is fun, and I would encourage you guys to seek out other groups or go to our group. We'll go in there and give you some love and support. And just watching these interviews is an inspiration. And we show up in your office and your inbox all the time. So give us a chance to support you. So awesome. All right, so we're on time. Oh yeah, we're close to our time. So why don't you, I know you put together something special for the audience, and I want you to go ahead and tell them about that, and then we'll come back and we'll do one more juicy tidbit before we leave, because this is too good.
Yeah, so the freebie is the Procrastination Domination Starter Kit. And it's 2 of my best exercises for helping you figure out which of your 137 ideas you should be working on right now. And like all my work, it's not like I've got some amazing system and you should do things my way. It's more about you figuring out what your amazing system is, right? So it's a tool that you can use over and over again. I use it in my own life. It's everyone loves it. I mean, I would change it. I've been using it for years, and I would do something different if I found something else that worked as well. And that little thin slice actually comes out of a larger course, which I'm also offering to you guys, called the Get It Done Workshop. So it's taken, it's what the book came out of, and it's very accessible. Like it's work that really meets you wherever you are. So if you're just starting out, or you're not even sure you even want to get into this entrepreneurship thing, it'll work. If you're already seasoned and experienced, it'll work. If you're thinking about changing directions, it'll work. Because like I said, it's really about you tapping into what you know about you, what you know is really true about you and what's really going to work for you and your life right now. So it's a lot of fun. It's helped thousands and thousands of people. So
awesome. So all you got to do to get that is click the button right below the video. Go right there now and take advantage of this offers, especially generous offer. I love the gift too because I think a lot of people have those ideas keep coming, and it's like, which one do I focus on? Where do I put my attention?
Yeah, it'll really help you prioritize because it's even just writing them down. I often have people who are like, I have a million ideas. I'm like, okay, tell me your million ideas. And then it turns out they actually have 6, 2 of which they don't care about. So now we're down to 4, and then from there we can make a decision. But until they get out of your head, this is the other reason why I'm like, get it out of your head, because in your head it's like, oh, I want to do number 1, or number 4, oh 2, but what about 6? What about 1? But what about 6? What about 1? What about 4? Like that feels like a million ideas. When you have it on paper in front of you, you're like, oh, it's these things. Like that's
And for all of you perfectionists out there who don't want to mess up a brand new beautiful notebook, please mess up your notebooks. I have been so guilty of that. I had so many beautiful journals on my shelves for years, and I just started filling them up. And now I'm like, I don't care if I mess up a page. I can draw on it. If it's stupid, it stays there. But it's helped me tremendously just to get that stuff on paper.
Absolutely. This is why I like index cards. Like whole pieces of paper are intimidating to me. Like an entire piece of paper? No, that's too much. Index card, like if you're trying to do more in a day than you can fit on an index card, you are kidding yourself.
Oh, I like that. I like that.
And they're cheap and cheerful, so you can burn through them and not care.
Awesome. All right, so we have so enjoyed having you here. Do you have any last words of wisdom or a story you'd like to share with the audience? What do you want to leave them with?
Yeah, I think, whatever it is that y'all are thinking about doing that you're not doing, that desire on your heart, that is your engraved invitation from God. Like, that's it. That's the sign. You're like, oh, I'm sort of waiting for a sign. No, that's the sign. That's all anybody gets, is that little voice that goes like, I wonder if I kind of want to, like, that's it. That's the whole banana. And we do not have an infinite amount of time in which to do our work. Right? We all have friends who are not here anymore to do their work. And there's not a better day than today. This idea of like, oh, I'll wait till the kids, or oh, I'll wait till the summer, oh, as soon as, no, today. Start today.
Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much for being here. I have truly enjoyed meeting you and getting to know you, and I'm just so grateful that you came and shared all this information with our audience.
My pleasure. See, and we met at a mastermind networking.
We did.
This is how these things happen. Mm-hmm. You gotta get out there, people.
Yep. They're awesome. Yeah, I highly recommend, whether you're doing it. I mean, we met online. We've never even met in person.
Right.
Created a rapport that's amazing. So you guys, you don't have to go very far. Just start right where you are, like Sam says. Awesome. Well, you guys are awesome, and you're the whole reason we're here. We're here to help you guys be more successful in your business, be more courageous leaders, and just help you get to that next step. Even if it's just 1 step or 2 steps, we're just so happy to help you get there. And we hope you will join us next time. So thank you, everybody. Bye.